Team, a couple weeks ago when we were going over the questions from the MathCounts practice sprint competition that we did, there was a couple questions that we did not have time to get to, so I want to go over them here so you could look them over if looking through the solutions wasn't helpful. So this is a very common math competition kind of question where they'll define some functions and then ask you to use those functions. And so it's the key to this is just to go through it kind of step by step. So the first thing in any question you should do is you should underline what it's asking you. So it's asking what is the value of 3, circle plus 4, circle plus 20, circle minus 16. Alright, so I'm going to rewrite that here. Alright, and just like you would any other math problem, you're going to do inside the parentheses first. So, as we saw, the plus is p squared plus q squared. So this one is the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared. So it's the square root of 9 plus 16, 20, 16. So that's square root of 25. So then we have 5. Alright, so now this one's inside the parentheses, so we're going to do it next. And so that one was p squared minus q squared. So we have the square root of 20 squared minus 16 squared. (20 squared is 400, 16 squared is 256. And so you could either do that multiplying it out long, or it's helpful to know, have memorized what the squares are, or this one 16 happens to be powers of 2. But in any case, if you need to do long multiplication figure out, that's fine. 400 minus 256 is 144. The square root of 144 is 12. And if you didn't know that, you could kind of guess and check. Alright, so now we have 5, circle plus 12. Going back, circle plus is p squared plus q squared. So we have the square root of 5 squared plus 12 squared. So square root of 25 plus 144. It's the square root of 169, which is 13, which is the answer, and then you would write that right here. Now you may have noticed that it was convenient that everything was a perfect square. And generally when you're not using a calculator, they try and make it that way. But if you know your Pythagorean triples, this could have been a lot quicker. So if we go to here, 3 squared, square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, well 3, 4, 5 is a Pythagorean triple, so the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared is going to be 5. So then you could have skipped down to here. Now you have 20 squared minus 16 squared. Well, 20 and 16 are both divisible. So we have 20, 16. Those are both divisible by 4, so that's 5. 4, that's also 3, 4, 5. So that would make that 12, 16, 20 Pythagorean triple. So you could have jumped from here down to here. And so now you have 5, the square root of 5 squared plus 12 squared. Well, 5, 12, 13 is a Pythagorean triple. So you could have jumped right down to the answer. So that's how I would have done it, just for fun. There's another way that's a little bit tricky. So if you started out, Go up to the problem again. 3, 4, 2016. Alright, so if we just go ahead and write them all out, so we have the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared plus the square root of 20 squared minus 16 squared. So then if we look at the definition of the plus again, so then what we have is the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared plus the square root of 20 squared minus 16 squared and the square root of that whole thing. Well, the square root of something squared is just that thing. So then you just have the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared plus 20 squared minus 16 squared. So then you have the square root of 9 plus 16 plus 400 minus 256. And then if you add all that up, you get the square root of 169, which is 13, which was the same answer we got before. That, to me, is a little tricky and more chance for error, so I would have just done it brute force the first way. Alright, and so then the other one I wanted to go over was question 20. Those who were on the team last year know I love questions about miles per hour because they can seem tricky, but if you do it methodically, you can usually figure it out. So just like the last one, so this is Jones is chasing a car 800 meters ahead of him. He's on a horse moving at 50 kilometers per hour. If Jones catches up to the car in 4 minutes, how fast was the car moving? There's a lot of information in there, and there's a lot of numbers I can crunch. So this one's important. How fast was the car moving? That's what I need to figure out. So this one, the first thing I would do, again, there's a couple different ways. I'll show you how I would solve it first. Is draw a picture. So we've got like a start here. So we have Jones, and then the car, that's 800 meters, and that's at time 0. Then at the end, we have this start, and then we have Jones and the car at the same place, and we know that's 4 minutes later. Time equals 4 minutes. Now units are, this is primarily a unit, well, it's miles per hour and a units problem, so units are important. Now Jones went this full distance and the car went that distance. Alright, so the first thing I would figure out is how far did Jones go? So we know that Jones was traveling at 50 kilometers per hour. And it's important that I'm treating the units like fractions. So I didn't write kmh is kilometers per hour. Alright, and he went for 4 minutes. And it's very useful to treat the units like they're variables, like it was x or y or any other variable. So if I multiply this out, I would get minutes per hour, and that's not helpful. So any expression I can multiply by 1. So if I want to clear up the units, I can do 1 hour on top, which is the same as 60 minutes. Alright, so the minutes cancel, the hours cancel, and I'm going to be left with kilometers. Alright, so we can, so that'll be 200 kilometers over 60. So cancel that out. It's 20 over 60 kilometers, which is 10/3 kilometers. Which is kind of a weird answer, but I'm not going to, it's not my final answer, so I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so Jones went 10/3 kilometers. So then how far did the car go? Well, if we look at the picture, the car had 800 meters, which is 0.8 kilometers head start. So how far did the car move? Alright, so it went 10/3 kilometers minus 0.8 kilometers. Well, 0.8 be easier. Just call it 8/10 kilometers. So that's, if we get common denominators, so this is going to be 100 over 30 kilometers minus 24 over 30 kilometers. Excuse me. So that's 76 over 30 kilometers. Alright, so again, I'm not going to reduce that for now. So that's, however, the answer to the question wasn't how far the car went, it was how fast was the car moving. Actually, we will do, so we'll make it, so 70, so let's see, that's 15, if we divide by 2, they're both 38, so it's 38 over 15 kilometers. Alright, so how fast was the car moving? So we need distance over time, because they're asking for kilometers over hours. So it went 38 over 15 kilometers, and if we remember, it was 4 minutes. So divided by 4 minutes. And that's going to give us kilometers per minute, but that's not what they asked for. So we'll do the same thing that we did up here and multiply this by 60 minutes over 1 hour. So the minutes will cancel. The only units left are kilometers per hour. That's what we want. Okay, so this 4 will go into this 60, 15 times. Those 15s cancel. So it's 38 kilometers per hour, which is what I'd write here. Unfortunately for everyone, that's the correct answer. There is another way you can do it. That way is the most straightforward, well, to me, but I will show you how they did it so you can know the other way. So they said if Jones catches up in 4 minutes, they're going to find his closing speed, how fast he was catching up to the car. So he was 800. He was 800. He caught up 800 meters behind in 4 minutes. So he was 800 meters in 4 minutes. All right, and that's 200 meters per minute. All right, and now we want to get that to kilometers per hour, so we go 60 minutes per hour and 1,000 meters per kilometer. Meters cancel, so we're down to kilometers per hour, which is what we want. So let's see, that cancels those. All right, so we get 12 kilometers per hour. So that's how fast Jones was catching up to the car, but the question was how fast was the car moving? So this is how fast Jones was catching up. So to find out how fast the car was going, we take Jones's speed minus 12 kilometers per hour equals 38 kilometers per hour, which is the same answer. So that's how you do it. All right, look forward to seeing everybody on Wednesday.